But the thing is that society does, the media does.
Exactly. And really, everybody could just learn from everybody just to love yourself and to accept yourself. And if the other person is happy with their self, if they like it, I love it.
But the thing is how do you get to that point of liking yourself when you sit there and see the media saying, oh, well, you have to look this way, or, you know, someone else saying you have to act this way, your parents, you know, when you're a teenager saying you have to act this way, you have to be this way. How do you get to love yourself? Because you're feeling pulled in all these different directions, saying, no, be like this, do this, act like this. How do you get to the point of even knowing who yourself is in order to even love that person?
Right. Well, that's a tough question. I know for me personally, growing up, I didn't have the bad experience that other people did. Like, my parents didn't belittle me, and they didn't, you know, make me to believe that anything was wrong with me. In school, I never got picked on or teased on. As a matter of fact, in high school, I was in the popular crowd. So I can't answer that question.
Right.
You know, it's different for everybody. And I don't know, I just personally, I just take everything back to confidence.
Right.
I don't know if that's the answer, but for me, that's what it's been.
So let's say that you are a shy, basically insecure woman who, you know, doesn't get out a lot or whatever. How, besides, like you said, like learning a trade to help you get a job or whatever, how do you even get to the point of saying, hey, I want to learn a trade, or I want to do this? Because if you're really shy and you're really insecure, it's to the point where you can't even go into the place to ask them for help to do this trade, because you are that within yourself. You can't get outside of yourself enough to even say, okay, well, let me go ask this person for help. And I think insecurity and lack of self-confidence holds a lot of people back from doing just the smallest things, you know?
Well, for someone in that instance, I would also assume that maybe they're unhappy. So maybe the want to be happy, the need for happiness, maybe you have to, like Oprah says, an aha moment. Something has to trigger it to make you want to do things to better yourself. And so it could just be maybe something you read, or maybe somebody tells you something. It has to be a moment, a light bulb goes off and say, you know, I want to do better. I want to improve my life.
Right.
You know, it would be different for every single person.
Right. How has your life changed since you became a beauty queen?
Well, my life has changed tremendously because I'm originally, I don't know if you caught my accent, but I'm originally from Louisiana. So after I got the crown, I decided...
When did you get the crown?
I had my crown in 2003.
Okay.
And then after I did my reign,
Which is for a year.
Yeah, I did a year as Miss Plus America. And when I went back to crown the next person, they crowned me the ambassador of the pageant because I did so well in representing, you know, what they were standing for.
What do you do as the ambassador?
It just basically just continue on my work that I was doing as Miss Plus America, promoting positive body image. So basically the same thing, just gives me another year. So through those experiences, meeting women, doing that, you know, I found that it was something I was very passionate about, and, you know, something I wanted to bring to mainstream audiences. So I decided to pack up and move to Los Angeles. So now I'm living in Los Angeles, and I'm pursuing to be a plus-size model and an actress, and as well as a beauty queen on the side. And so my life has changed tremendously, just, you know, day to day, from things I'm pursuing, from a whole different city, different experiences, everything. But, you know, I'm very happy, and things are going well for me in the right direction. So maybe the next time you have a guest on talking about beauty, instead of saying Queen Latifah, she'll say Shanice Lewis.
Exactly. So whenever you were on these platforms, where would you go, and how would you promote any body image?
Well, it didn't have to be any specific, like it wasn't, since it's a new organization, it's not like Miss America where everything is laid out for you and your whole year is mapped and everybody's welcoming you. I had to explain to people who I was, the organization, and, you know, I had to start from the bottom up. So I did things like go to elementary schools because the teachers were like, oh, we have young girls here. There are, you know, little chubby girls and the kids are picking on them. We would love for you to come and talk to them and let them see you with, because I have a crown and a sash. And they were like, oh, they would just, you know, they'll think you're a princess and that'll make them feel good about
it starts really at the younger age,
Exactly,
though.
Exactly. So it's going, talking to kids and like there's different websites that I wrote articles for about my platform, and just fashion shows, making appearances, talk shows, anybody really that, you know, would have me to promote and get the word out about the pageant, about myself and what I'm trying to do. So,
you know, back to the elementary school kids, I really believe that it all starts there, because if people are already picking on you when you're in elementary school, wait till you get to high school and in college, and or middle school and high school, it's not going to get any better. It's probably just going to go downhill from there. And that's where the self-confident issue comes into play. If people are picking on you when you're that young, and then they continue, your self-confidence is going to continue to go down as the amount of people picking on you goes up.
And that's one thing in my story. I said, you know, younger, my parents told me I was beautiful and I was smart, and, you know, build the groundwork of confidence in you know, instilled it in a young age. So I guess that helped me throughout my life.
Absolutely. And I think that is a big part of it, is your family, your friends, to always say, you know, it doesn't matter whether you don't look like somebody else or whether you do.
And no matter what you look like, you're never going to please everybody.
And that is true.
The most beautiful woman in the world can be debatable. Because who you think is the most beautiful woman in the world, I might not.
Exactly.
So if you try to please everybody all the time, it's just a wasted cause.
Yeah, and you're going to be miserable in the process, because when you sit there and say, okay, well, I please Jessica, but I'm not pleasing Shanice, then, okay, then let me try and please Shanice too. And then you're never going to get anywhere. And then that's when I think the inside part comes into such a big play, because the outside can only get you so far, like you said earlier.
And the most important thing is, are you happy with yourself? Forget about pleasing everybody. Are you pleased with the person you are? And I think that's the key.
And then if you're not, go back to the confidence, or then if you're not, where do you go back to? Find out what it is that you're not pleased about.
And, you know, try and make positive changes, or whatever it takes.
What if there's so many things you don't even know where to begin?
Well, maybe
because you're going to have people out there who are going to say, well, you know what, I'm not happy in my marriage, I'm not happy in the job I do, I'm not happy, you know, with the city I'm living in, I'm not happy with the amount. Well, where do you start? If you're not happy with, you know, basically your whole life, where do you begin?
If you have so many things you're not happy about, then that sounds like depression. That person might need therapy. I mean, seriously, if it's that severe.
Well, what if they just say, okay, what if they're not depressed, but what if they just say, that took me off because I wasn't expecting you to say, well, they were just depressed. What if they just say, you know, okay, fine, there's 3 things I'm not happy with. Where do I begin? I mean, job, marriage, and city I live in. Where do I begin? I mean, but they're big 3 things. So, I mean, how do you know where you're supposed to begin to try and make yourself happier, to try and even build this self-confidence, to try and get on the path of being beautiful to yourself? I mean,
what I always do, I write a list. I write things down. That's very helpful. And some people do journals.
A list of what? What is it a list of?
Well, a list of goals, or start off with a list of goals and what steps you need to do in order to get to those goals. Like, you write the 3 things down that you're unhappy with. If marriage is one of them, then what steps would it take for you to have a better marriage, or do you need to get out of the marriage? So after you know those 3 things, then that's good. And after you evaluate the importance of the 3 things and what's more important, then that's halfway there to the process, is, you know, recognizing what the problems are. That's half of the process.